Welcome to Therapy Unlocked, where we discuss all things therapy from an unlocked perspective. I'm Emily Huffman, and I'm here with Katrina.
Hello, Katrina Mondragon, licensed professional counselor. All right, so like I said, I am a professional, but not your professional, so nothing we're going to talk about today should be taken as medical, legal, or otherwise advice. This podcast is purely for education and amusement. That is it. That's the disclaimer.
Education, amusement, and because I would like to be famous. So please like, subscribe, follow, engage, hate on us, join the conversation, find us on YouTube, find us on Instagram, find us anywhere where you listen to podcasts, because I love a creeper and I love a hater and I love a lover. So if you like the podcast, if you dislike the podcast, I'd like to hear from you.
Jealousy.
Is it jealousy if my neighbors have a pool and I don't, and I wish I had their pool?
That's envy.
Wow.
If you want what somebody else has, that's envy. If you have pink hair and I want pink hair, I'm envious of your pink hair. Now, I could go about getting pink hair. I could get it myself if I really wanted it. But if I'm just wanting what you have, that's envy.
Okay.
But I might be like, oh, girl, I'm so jelly of your hair, and then never do anything about it. That's not really jealousy or envy. That's appreciation.
That's admiration. Yeah. Appreciation, admiration. Okay. So then I'll change my verbiage on that. And thank you for teaching me that. I had no idea. But do you think that shame and envy are related?
100%.
Okay. I think so as well. I think they are. I think a lot of the time people become envious because of their feelings of shame. You know?
I have at times envied ignorance, as I hear it is bliss. But
So
I don't know.
yes, that's the curve breaker attitude I'm talking about. So we found it. We unlocked it. Sometimes we got to talk for a minute to get there, but that's what I'm talking about. Ignorance could be bliss. And sometimes when you are a standard setting personality and everyone knows it, they can find reasons to resent you. They can resent you didn't set the standard one time, maybe. Or they can resent that you set the standard too high. Or they can resent that other people know you set standards and they're envious of you. You know, there's all these different situations where they may have a conscious or an unconscious.
I remember when I was going to college and I was working at a bowling alley, some of the people at the bowling alley would admonish my use of the big words. I don't even think they use that big word right, but they would diminish the use of my vocabulary because I would use words like gregarious and loquacious and expect them to be comprehended, and that was wrong. The expectation to be comprehended, I think, is where I went wrong, and that's something that I can reel in, and I have reeled it in. I no longer expect to be comprehended, so when I say gregarious, I say oh so talkative.
So I started doing a lot of
Or
expansion
outgoing.
after interpreting school, because you have to expand a lot of things. To put it shortly, there's not always a direct translation in sign language for every word. So sometimes you need to explain the concept to make it translate into another language, right? So I believe that kind of bled over into my standardized way of speaking. And so I'll do things like that on that level. But I don't know if you remember, around the dinner table, someone using a big word was called pulling an Emily in our household. And it can happen even amongst your family.
Yeah.
You know, it just really depends on where you are planted. And that's a good thing maybe for a lot of curve setters to know. Are you planted in the right place?
And are you surrounded by somebody who's blowing out your flame, or by people who are protecting your flame and enhancing you?
Yes.
Brene Brown does this one book called Atlas of the Heart, where she talks about flame blower outers, where when you have an accomplishment, if all they have to say is, well, you could have done better, or, well, it wasn't good enough, or that A- could have been an A+, that's a flame blower outer. That's not somebody you need in your life. That's not somebody whose opinion really matters, because they don't care about you. Because what they care about is making you knock down a notch. Because you're up here and they want to knock you down a notch. And how is that helpful?
It's truly not. No, it's truly not. And I think a lot of people like yourself and other people who are very gifted, or like we discussed in a prior episode, maybe we're in a gifted and talented program at school, or there's a lot of talk going around these days about gifted burnout. Into adulthood, you start to get burnt out. I think a lot of that burnt out comes from the kind of negative feeling that can surround you when you're not feeling planted in the right place or someone's blowing out your candle.
There's also that negative feedback loop. If you're planted in a place of negativity and all you get is negativity when you put yourself out there, then of course you're going to get that reinforced in your mind, and why try?
Mm-hmm.
So that can be a negative aspect of that negative feedback loop. If somebody is put in a place where they're told, don't talk, don't trust, don't feel, and then they're put down like that, then that could be problematic. I can see that happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that gifted children especially, but gifted adults as well, people who tend to be very skilled in their professions, like veterinarians, have higher rates of depression. Dentists, people who take...
Dentists, come see us. We're not afraid of you.
They're friends, I tell ya. It's a similar profession. You open up and then they tell you what's wrong, or they help you figure it out. Fill in some gaps here and there. A lot of parallels between dentistry and therapy. But I think that people like yourself who are a little more gifted tend to have some of those higher rates of burnout and depression and stuff along those lines. And sometimes I even wonder if it's burnout or just, not so much burnout in the sense of, I think people will talk about it like you've used so much of your academic brain that you have become tired kind of thing. I think sometimes it's more that they have been looked on by even family members or romantic partners or peers or friends or that kind of thing to enough time that they kind of give up.
Oh.
I mean, that's just personally, I knew a lot of other gifted and talented kids in school, and it was a little bit, I don't want to say 50-50, but some of them went on to like the Sorbonne and to become pilots and whatnot. And other ones I have, seen on a street corner.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But at one point in time, we were direct peers in the same academic team.
Right.
Right. So, I think that there has to be some element of just the people around you would affect whether you'd start to burn out.
Yes, I think that makes a significant difference too. And I think the cognitive fatigue, I would call it, like that, that's something that can happen on the daily. And I've experienced that, like after a long, hard day of thinking, like you are tired. Like
absolutely.
When COVID happened, I did something real dumb. I opened up my counseling schedule from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and I was having back-to-back sessions for like 8 hours a day. And let me tell you, 3 days of 8 hours back to back, those 3 days I did that, I only did it once. I'll never do it again. My brain felt like it was so tired from holding space for everyone else. I had forgotten to eat enough.
Right.
I didn't hygiene enough.
Well, and vicarious trauma.
Yeah,
vicarious trauma during a difficult time, like a global pandemic, to say, let me take your trauma in for the full day. That's a lot. That's
there was
quite
secondary,
a bit.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that as a parent. I like to say sometimes that, barring emergencies, of course, obviously, I have clocked out for the day, kiddos. You guys need to go to bed. Or I have an older child that maybe doesn't have a bedtime all the time, and I will say, okay, but I'm off the clock.
The way I phrase it is, my brain is done today.
Yes, I don't have any more bandwidth left. There's nothing more I have here. So let's wrap this one up with, I would love the therapeutic perspective on, okay, oftentimes we cannot change where we are planted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I know we can have hope. We talked about that with the other thing. It does get better. I firmly believe in that. When you want something to get better, whether you're manifesting it or making it happen, either way, it probably will. But what can one do within themselves to maybe let go of some of that shame they're feeling for being the curve setter, the goal breaker, the person who is maybe feeling a little ostracized in the situation?
Maybe an inner conversation. So I think that we all have parts inside ourselves that aren't necessarily all I mean, I think they could potentially be all good. I don't know. But I'm just saying that there's parts of ourselves where most humans would be way more mean inside our own head than we would ever be out loud to another human being. And if our inner critic is the one doing the talking, maybe we can have a little conversation where we listen to another thing, like an inner loving parent or an inner transcendent self or observant self, however you want to see it or call it, whatever you want to phrase it as. Have a little conversation with yourself, a little chat where you're a little bit nicer than you would be normally.
I like it. I like it. Maybe a short to promote this particular episode, but let's keep in mind something you said just now that reminded me of another of my favorites, internal family systems.
Yes, parts. I'm actually reading right now No Bad Parts by Richard Schwartz.
So I know you are. We've talked about that. And we've talked a little bit about internal family systems before. And so maybe at the point that this is going to be released, you could give us, because we don't have the book with us right now, you could give us Jamie's thing and we could do just a call. And pull something from the internal family systems book. I think that would be a great one. No, I think that, having that inner voice, that internal mentorship to help you out. I would throw in my unqualified opinion. If my sister called me and she was upset because her tiara was too shiny and her wallet was too fat, or if my child came to me and they were upset because they were too brilliant, or even if a stranger off the street looked upset to me because they were prettier than the other people around them. I think that my advice would be to come here and talk to me. I'd like to hype you up.
Ooh.
So maybe you need to find your person who wants to hype you up. If you don't have that in your life, sibling, a best friend, I don't think we've ever had the Healthy Five conversation. I love that one. But, if you don't have someone in your life with a motivational spirit, it might be a good time to find that. When I feel insecure, I more often than not will probably call you to be told that I have done nothing wrong or am doing enough. And I think I've done that the entire time I've been a parent.
You mentioned the book No Bad Parts, and while I don't have the physical book, I do have the PDF. So if you want to do it, you can just tell me when to stop.
All right. Stop.
Okay. So it says, self is a spiritual essence within us and around us, like a field that can quiet that thinking part of the brain. And that is the PDF. I don't know what he was quoting there, but it's page 127 of the PDF, where he was just, what are we to make of these experiences and their uniformity across people? And that was like the bolded part.
I love that. Yeah. That's incredibly relevant to the conversation. Once again, I think that's great.
I love the Barnum effect.
I do too. I do too. And I know what you're saying to me, but I disagree because I'm a witch and a sidekick.
So it's applicable not just because it's relevant, but because
I swayed the universe so that the message would arrive appropriately. You're welcome. Also, I just come here for a second. I want to hype you. You're doing a great job. If you ended up with this video, chances are you might have been looking up how to feel better about being the best. Well, guess what? You're the best.
And if all you did today was breathe, you did enough.
That too. All right. Thank you for joining us today on Therapy Unlocked. This has been a great one. I love all of you curve breakers and goal setters and everybody else. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Remember, this is education and amusement, not medical advice. If you are struggling, contact a professional more personally related to you for advice. Katrina, anything you'd like to add?
Nope. Later.
All right. Have a great day, guys. Bye.